What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we're going to be taking a little bit of a look at a new Infinite combo deck. Yeah, that Infinite Turns deck we talked about before that got swap parts banned. It might be back, ladies and gentlemen. It might be back. So as a little bit of a history lesson then, we had a deck before that revolved around swap parts, and that got swap parts banned. And the theory here was that you got two specialists, and you use the free upgrade cards Multi-Mission Gear, Multi-Tool, and Field Communicator. Multi-Mission Gear, when you attach it, you get to play an action, as long as you attach it to a specialist. Multi-Tool, when you play it to a specialist, you get to play an upgrade. And Field Communicator, when you attach it to a specialist, you may play the top card of your deck. You scrap it regardless, but you may play it if you so wish. So what you did in theory was get one of each of those on two specialists, and then you played swap parts. And the problem with swap parts is problem if you're playing against it, brilliant thing if you're playing with it, you get to trigger all of the when you attach it skills. So you'd have two Field Communicators letting you play the top card of your deck twice. Well, the two top cards. You'd have two Multi-Mission Gear allowing you to play two actions, and two Multi-Tool allowing you to play two upgrades. And then in theory, you just kind of keep going, and then you'd be able to play it again. Now, it is only one action per turn, but we've got other ways to play extra actions. We'll get to those in a moment. But the thing was, you didn't have to do all of this in one turn, because you had the combination of Peace Through Tyranny and I Still Function. You see, Peace Through Tyranny reads, you may KO one of your characters that has 6 stars or fewer. If you do, take an extra turn after this one. So if you just do this every single turn, then your opponent never gets a turn. Well, you can't just keep knocking out your characters forever, can you? Yes, because of I Still Function. I Still Function returns one of your KO'd characters that has 12 stars or fewer to the battlefield, repair 1 damage from it, and at the end of the turn, KO it. But before you reach the end of the turn, you play Peace Through Tyranny to KO your character, guaranteeing that you get the next turn. And the two main parts of the deck, and I did a video about it, I'll link it in the description, we're using swap parts to swap all these upgrades around to trigger extra stuff happening, including potentially extra swap parts, because if you played a swap parts, and then that triggered a Multi-Mission Gear, you could then play another swap part if you had one in your hand. It's pretty good. And then you'd use a combination of I Still Function and Peace Through Tyranny to make sure that you got the next turn. And then during the next turn, you'd use the combo to make sure that you got the next turn. So they banned swap parts. And then they printed Private Red Heat. You see, Private Red Heat is a Micromaster, and there are two things that we expect from every Micromaster. Number 1, in alt mode, they have stealth when untapped. Number 2, in bot mode, you can scrap a color icon from your hand, and then it's got a tap ability. You tap it rather than attacking with it, and you get to copy an effect of an existing battle card with the same color icon that you just scrapped. The thing is, Private Red Heat copies swap parts. You scrap a white icon card from your hand, and then you swap the upgrades on 2 of your characters. Okay. So here, if we can keep getting infinite turns and using those turns to tap Red Heat, or we can just keep untapping it, we're going to be absolutely fine, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be absolutely fine. Remember, when you get onto your next turn here, you still don't untap all of your characters, so you need to make sure that when you're tapping Red Heat and then getting an extra turn, you have a way to untap Red Heat. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, we've got those ways. So in terms of the character lineup here, you need Red Heat, and you need at least one other specialist and one other character that you're just killing and bringing back in order to get the infinite turns rolling. Cool. Now, there are a bunch of options. One that I really like here is Chromia. Because Chromia, when you flip it into alt mode, you return a card of at least one white battle icon from your scrap pile to your hand. that can be extremely useful, especially given that you need a white icon battle card to scrap to use Red Heat's tap ability. Landon over on TCG Rollout chooses to use Wheeljack rather than Chromia because it starts off in ult mode and you get to start the game with a Brainstorm in hand, giving you a greater chance of having a really good first turn. Generally speaking, after that, you want a 6-star specialist. Most of the time, people go with Dinobot Swoop. If you're going to be ending your turn with attacking, using the attack of 5 is quite nice. And then, of course, you've always got the ult mode skill that lets you move a damage from this character to an enemy, which can get a little bit of extra damage on there. The other option here is Prowl. Prowl is a 6-star specialist, but it's not a specialist in bot mode. I don't think we're ever really going to use the skills here. So my preferred list would have Chromia and Swoop in, but Wheeljack and Swoop seems like a decent alternative if you want to have that Brainstorm straight away. So how do you untap Red Heat then? We've basically got two options. One option here is ready for action. Untap one of your characters that has 10 stars or fewer. Oh, good. Well, Private Red Heat has 5 stars, so that'll work nicely. The other option you've got is the weird EMP Wave card. You see, EMP Wave actually taps every character. That's what it says. The thing is, and this just came out in Wave 3 incidentally, but so did Red Heat, this wouldn't work before that. The thing is, if you tap all characters, then at the end of the turn you untap all characters. Now we're rolling, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're rolling, because you're getting the next turn. So that'll work rather nicely indeed. So the goal here, very simply, is every turn you do the I Still Function Peace Through Tyranny combo, so that you KO a character to give yourself an extra turn. You use Private Red Heat to swap the upgrades among your specialists as often as you can, to trigger these extra things through Multi-Mission Gear, Multi-Tool, and Field Communicator. And then you just wear your opponent down, and we also generally play 1 copy of Plasma Burst so that we can drop 2 damage. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're taking every turn, yeah, that'll do quite nicely, ladies and gentlemen. That'll do quite nicely. Now, there are generally speaking 2 other categories of cards that we want to be playing in a deck like this. Category number 1, doing more stuff. We've already talked about Multi-Tool, we've already talked about Multi-Mission Gear, we've already talked about Field Communicator. But we do have a couple other options. We've got the aforementioned Brainstorm. Brainstorm lets you play 2 actions in a row, so anytime you can get Brainstorm off, you're doing extra stuff. If you can play a Multi-Mission Gear and then parlay that into a Brainstorm, you're going to be doing an awful lot of stuff rather quickly indeed. But we've also got the star card Leap of Faith. You'll notice the stars of our characters here do leave us open to some star cards, and we're going to be going Leap of Faith here, because it lets you look at the top card of your deck, well, scrap it and then play it, if you wish, and then do that again. It's basically a double Field Communicator, plus it has the white icon, and as explained, white icons here are rather nice indeed. And then we've also got Confidence. Confidence is a great card here, and what it essentially allows you to do is play an extra action. I mean, we're doing quite a lot of that at the moment, right? But it works. It's what we want to do, ladies and gentlemen. It's what we want to do. It came out in Wave 2. It lets you draw 2 cards, scrap 2 cards from your hand, and then if you began the game with only Autobot characters, you may play an action. Well, you notice I've not tried to talk you into playing any Decepticons here. That's fairly obviously why. And the last kind of card we need here is draw cards. We need to make sure we're drawing as much as we can so that we've got the cards in hand, so that when we're swapping these upgrades over and we're allowed to play an extra action and we're allowed to play an extra upgrade, we've got extra actions and upgrades to actually play. And there are a bunch of options you can go for here. Obviously, we've got some stars left over, so you can play Universal Network Access, which lets you draw 2 cards. You can go either Pep Talk or Testify, which let you draw 2 cards. Testify makes your opponent draw. One of the arguments I've seen here is that it can clog your opponent's hand so they've got less to flip over when they're defending. If the deck runs right, it shouldn't be an issue because they shouldn't be taking a turn, so it shouldn't really matter very much here. Obviously, we talked about confidence as a card that lets you do more stuff, but it does also very much count as an extra draw card as well. Since we're really trying to have 6 upgrades on the field at once, Equipment Enthusiast becomes an amazing card because it literally turns into a draw 6. You draw 1 card for each upgrade you've got, but it also has a white icon, making it exceedingly good in terms of just helping out with the white icons. And we do have Inspiring Leadership here, which lets you draw 3 cards and then scrap 2 from your hand. Doesn't give you a huge card advantage, but it does help you to essentially manipulate your hand so that you've got more cards in hand, or at least you've got the right cards in hand. And you could even think about playing Incoming Transmission here. Lets you draw 2 cards and then put 1 card from your hand on top of your deck. Generally speaking, just a straight draw 2 would be better, but it can be nice if you do need to attack to be able to drop, say, a Piece Through Tyranny on top, which does have the double orange icons that you are playing anyway. One more card very quickly before we finish that does deserve a shout out is Quartermaster. I don't think it's necessarily needed in the deck, if I'm honest with you, but what it allows you to do is move 1 upgrade from one of your characters to another one. It can just let you trigger Field Communicator that one last time that you really need. Or maybe you're able to play Quartermaster to swap a multi-mission gear, which then lets you play a Brainstorm, which lets you play a Leap of Faith and something else, and all of a sudden it starts you going. And it's got a white icon, so it could work. But generally speaking here, we've just got lots of cards that let you do extra stuff, and then a 2-card combo that lets you take an extra turn. Bearing in mind all the cards that let you do extra stuff make it more likely you're going to get the 2-card combo off. Private Red Heat is just the last part of the puzzle in that it allows you to potentially trigger 6 extra things at once. That's why Swap Parts was banned. So what happens now? This deck, by all reports, is not as good or reliable as the Swap Parts deck. But you know sooner or later it's going to start taking down tournaments. So what do? Do we ban Private Red Heat? Do we put some other fix in place to make sure this never happens again? If something is done, you know I'm going to be here on this channel to show you what was done the second it is done. So make sure you're subscribed and I'll tell you all about it. For now, ladies and gentlemen, tell me what you think about this in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, as previously mentioned, and follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk about, well, Transformers and a whole bunch of other stuff. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.